Welcome to our channel History of Coins, where we explore the hidden gems of numismatics. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of rare quarter-dollar coins, cause some of these coins hold an incredible history, and some are worth millions. So today, we are gonna uncover the rarest varieties and their values. So make sure to watch the complete video and find out if you have one of these. Now let's continue our today's video. Top 1 today, we're talking about a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, but under the surface, it holds a secret that could make it one of the most valuable quarters ever made. We're talking about the United States Washington quarter from the year 1965. Now, I know what you're thinking. 1965 doesn't sound that old. It's not a silver coin, and millions were made, right? So how could this possibly be rare? But stick with me, because once you understand the history, the transition, and the hidden errors involved with this coin, you'll realize why serious collectors are willing to pay huge money for the right one. Let's start with a little backstory. The year 1965 marked a major turning point in U.S. coinage. For decades, quarters had been made of 90% silver. But due to rising silver prices and growing demand, the U.S. Mint made a huge decision. They removed silver from quarters and dimes entirely. Starting in 1965, Washington quarters were minted using a copper-nickel-clad composition instead of the traditional silver. This was a huge shift, and it created the perfect storm for rare transitional errors to occur. You see, during this transition period, the U.S. Mint was still using some of the older silver planchets. Those are the blank coin discs, left over from the previous year. And that's where the magic happens. Some quarters dated 1965 were accidentally struck on silver planchets instead of the new clad ones. These rare silver quarters are now legendary in the numismatic world. They look similar to the regular ones, but they sound different, weigh slightly more, and if tested, they reveal their silver content. Now here's where it gets really exciting. These rare transitional error quarters are extremely difficult to find. Most have been lost to circulation, mistaken for common coins, or melted down. But once in a while, one is discovered, and when it is, it sets the coin collecting world on fire. So what exactly should you be looking for? First, check the edge of your 1965 quarter. Regular clad quarters will have a visible copper core when viewed from the side, a kind of sandwich appearance. But if you see a solid silver-looking edge, no copper in sight, you might have something special. Next, test the weight. A standard clad quarter weighs 5.67 grams. But a silver quarter from before the change should weigh about 6.25 grams. That small difference is crucial. It could mean the difference between pocket change and a treasure. Now let's talk about other kinds of errors that can make the 1965 quarter valuable. Some quarters from this year have striking errors like double dies, where parts of the design are duplicated slightly due to a misalignment during minting. Others have off-center strikes or missing elements that make them unique. Error coins like these are favorites among collectors because no two are exactly alike. There are also cases of quarters struck on the wrong planchet entirely, not just silver ones, but sometimes even on planchets meant for nickels or foreign coins. These extremely rare mint mistakes can be worth serious money because they're essentially one-of-a-kind anomalies created during a moment of chaos at the mint. But here's the part that really gets coin collectors' hearts racing. There are verified instances of the 1965 Washington quarter struck on a silver planchet, selling at high-end auctions for jaw-dropping amounts. These aren't just urban legends or coin shop rumors. These are real transactions. Authenticated and graded by trusted coin certification services, these error coins have made headlines. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. If you happen to own a genuine 1965 Washington quarter that was mistakenly struck on a silver planchet, and it's in excellent condition, especially if it's been professionally graded, you could be looking at a coin worth as much as $80,000. That's right. A single quarter. Just 25 cents when it was minted, now potentially worth $80,000. That's the kind of story that makes collectors dig through their jars of change and search every drawer, every old wallet, and every coin roll they can find. So, what are you waiting for? Grab a magnifying glass, check your coin collections, and take a close look at your quarters from 1965. You never know. You might just be holding on to a hidden treasure. Top 2 today's coin is no exception. In fact, what if I told you that a simple, everyday Washington quarter from the year 1967, something that might be hiding in your pocket or stashed away in a forgotten drawer, could actually be worth a small fortune? That's right. This is one of those stories that sounds like a fairy tale at first, but it's absolutely real. So get comfortable, because we're diving deep into the world of the 1967 Washington quarter. A coin that many people overlook, but coin collectors know better. Let's rewind the clock to the 1960s. By 1967, America had already made a major change in its coinage. Just 2 years earlier, the U.S. Mint stopped producing silver quarters. Rising silver prices had made it too expensive to continue minting coins in 90% silver, so starting in 1965, they switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition. This change was meant to be permanent, and millions of these new clad coins were struck. But with any major transition, things don't always go smoothly. The 1967 Washington quarter might look like any other clad quarter, but there are certain versions out there, rare errors, minting anomalies, and special varieties that have stunned the coin collecting world. So what makes some of these quarters worth much more than 25 cents? Let's talk about errors. You see, the minting process is incredibly precise, but sometimes things go wrong, and for collectors, those mistakes can be worth gold. One of the most fascinating types of errors from this year is a quarter struck on the wrong metal planchet. That's right. There have been verified cases where a 1967 quarter was accidentally struck on a silver planchet that was left over from earlier years. These rare coins look like normal quarters, but they weigh slightly more and have a different tone and color to them. If you hear a ring when you drop it, like old silver coins, that's a clue you might have something rare. Now, let's talk about double die errors. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once by the die in slightly different positions, causing doubling in the date, letters, or other parts of the design. These double die quarters from 1967 are incredibly hard to find, but if you do spot one, it can raise the value of the coin dramatically, especially if it's in near-perfect condition. Another exciting error is the off-center strike, where the design is misaligned. These quarters are easy to spot, and the more dramatic the misalignment, the more collectors are willing to pay. Then there's the struck-through error, where debris or grease gets between the die and the planchet, leaving strange marks or missing details on the coin. All of these unusual flaws make each error coin unique, and serious collectors are always searching for them. Now, here's something even more interesting about quarters from this year. In 1967, the U.S. Mint did not produce any proof sets for the general public due to the high demand and coin hoarding of previous years. Instead, they produced what are called special mint sets, or SMS coins. These coins were struck with higher quality than regular circulation coins, but they're not quite proof coins either. The SMS quarters have a distinct appearance with sharp details and satin-like surfaces. Finding a 1967 quarter from a special mint set in flawless condition can also be very valuable, especially if it has a unique error on top of that. So how can you tell if your quarter might be special? First, check the edge. Normal clad quarters show a visible copper core. If yours appears silver all the way through, that's a sign to investigate further. Use a scale. Clad quarters weigh about 5.67 grams. If yours is heavier, it could be something exceptional. Look for doubling on the date or letters. And don't forget to examine the surfaces for unusual markings or imperfections. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. If you happen to own a 1967 Washington quarter with the right combination of rarity, mint error, and pristine condition, especially one struck on a silver planchet or with an exceptional double die, it could be worth as much as $79,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single quarter from 1967, worth $79,000. That's not a myth. That's the true power of coin collecting. What seems ordinary could actually be extraordinary. So don't underestimate the change sitting in your coin jar or tucked away in an old box. That little quarter could be a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. Check your coins carefully, weigh them, study them under a magnifying glass, and if you find something suspiciously rare, consider getting it professionally graded and authenticated. You never know what you might have. Top 3, we're zooming in on a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about. It's the 1972 Washington quarter, and believe it or not, this everyday coin could be hiding a jaw-dropping secret. This is one of those stories that reminds us why coin collecting is so exciting. Because every once in a while, a coin comes along that seems ordinary, but behind its simple design lies a rare error, a historical twist, or a minting mystery that makes it worth thousands, and I mean thousands, of dollars. So let's talk about the 1972 quarter. At first glance, it looks just like every other Washington quarter from the modern era. It features the familiar portrait of George Washington on the front, facing left, with the word liberty above him and the phrase, "In God we trust," to his left. On the reverse, there's the majestic eagle with outstretched wings, clutching arrows, perched on a bundle of olive branches. Classic. Timeless. But here's the thing. Not all 1972 quarters are created equal. This year, the U.S. Mint produced quarters at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Most of these coins were struck on standard copper-nickel-clad planchets, and the majority of them went straight into circulation. That means they were handled, dropped, tossed in vending machines, and left in pockets for decades. But once in a while, a few slipped through the cracks. Coins with rare errors or unique characteristics that make collectors stop in their tracks. So what should you be looking for if you come across a 1972 quarter? Let's start with double die errors. This is one of the most exciting types of coin errors and is highly sought after in the collector world. A double die happens when the die used to strike the coin has a misalignment, causing a doubling effect on the lettering or design. On a 1972 quarter, doubling may appear on the word liberty, on the date, or in God we trust. If you notice the letters looking blurry, split, or shadowed, don't toss that coin. It could be a valuable double die. Another rare feature to watch out for is a misplaced mint mark. On coins struck at the Denver Mint, look closely at the small D mint mark. There are known cases where the mint mark was punched in the wrong position, too low or too high, or even with slight tilting. This isn't something you see every day, and collectors go crazy over these anomalies, especially if the rest of the coin is in pristine condition. Now here's something even more fascinating. There have been reports of 1972 quarters struck on the wrong planchet. That means the blank used wasn't intended for a quarter at all. It might have been meant for a dime, a penny, or even a foreign coin. These types of mint errors are extremely rare, but they're out there. A quarter that's underweight, has a strange tone or color, or seems smaller than normal. That's your cue to investigate. And let's not forget off-center strikes and broad strikes. If your 1972 quarter has missing parts of the design, or the rim looks distorted, it could be the result of a misaligned die or collar. These mistakes don't happen often, and when they do, collectors see them as one-of-a-kind pieces, unique moments frozen in metal. Now, here's something every coin enthusiast should know. Condition matters a lot. A rare error in poor condition might be interesting, but a rare error in mint state condition? That's the holy grail. Coins that have never been circulated, never touched by bare hands, and still have that original mint luster can sell for exponentially more than the same coin with wear and scratches. And yes, the 1972 quarter has been found in uncirculated condition with dramatic errors, and those are the ones that make headlines. Those are the coins that spark bidding wars at auctions. Those are the coins that transform a simple 25-cent piece into something worth showing off in a glass case, or locking away in a vault. How much could a 1972 quarter be worth if it has the right combination of rarity, error, and condition? If you're lucky enough to discover a 1972 Washington quarter that features a rare mint error, such as a double die, a wrong planchet strike, or a dramatically off-center design, and it's in exceptional, uncirculated condition, it could fetch as much as $77,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $77,000 for a single quarter. Just imagine that. A coin you might have received as change at the grocery store, or one that's been sitting unnoticed in an old drawer for years, could turn out to be an extraordinary treasure. That's what makes this hobby so thrilling. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes that story ends with a life-changing surprise. Don't take your pocket change for granted. Check your coins carefully, especially those from the 1970s. You never know what might be hiding in plain sight. And if you find something unusual, don't hesitate. Have it examined, weighed, and possibly certified by a professional grading service. Top 4, we're talking about the United States Washington quarter from the year 1980. That's right, just a regular-looking quarter from 1980. But here's the twist. Some of these seemingly ordinary coins have been found with rare features, minting mistakes, and characteristics so unusual, they've skyrocketed in value. And if you're lucky enough to come across the right one, it could be worth an amount that most people wouldn't believe. Don't blink. Because this story is packed with secrets, surprises, and everything that makes coin collecting one of the most thrilling hobbies on the planet. Let's start with a little background. By 1980, The Washington quarter had already been in circulation for nearly 50 years. The design, originally introduced in 1932, was created to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It quickly became an American icon, simple, strong, and instantly recognizable. But while the design remained familiar, the minting process continued to evolve, and with evolution came errors. In 1980, quarters were minted at multiple locations, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint used slightly different techniques, dyes, and machinery, which created room for mistakes. And it's those mistakes, the rare errors and anomalies, that collectors dream about. Now, what should you be looking for on a 1980 Washington quarter? First up, double die errors. These occur when the coin is struck by a die that has a slight misalignment, causing the design elements, like the lettering, numbers, or even parts of Washington's face, to appear doubled. On a 1980 quarter, the most common places to spot this doubling are in the words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date itself. If you look closely and see ghost-like shadows behind the letters or numbers, that's your first clue that you might be holding something special. Next, we have off-center strikes. These coins are fascinating to look at because part of the design is missing or misaligned, sometimes by just a few percent, other times dramatically off. The more off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin tends to be, especially if the full date is still visible. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Wrong planchet errors. This happens when a coin is accidentally struck on a blank mint for a different denomination. For example, a quarter might be struck on a planchet mint for a penny, nickel, or even a foreign coin. In 1980, the U.S. Mint was producing coins in massive numbers, and mistakes like this, though rare, did slip through. If you ever find a 1980 quarter that seems too light, too small, or the color looks strange, don't ignore it. It might be an extremely rare wrong planchet error. There are also clipped planchets, where a part of the coin is literally missing because of a misfeed during the minting process. These can be crescent-shaped or oddly straight. Either way, they're very collectible when genuine. And let's not forget the RPM, or repunched mint mark. In 1980, coins struck at the Denver Mint featured a D mint mark, and some of those Ds were punched more than once, slightly misaligned each time. This creates a visible doubling effect on the mint mark itself. A repunched mint mark might sound like a small thing, but to collectors, it's a big deal, especially on a coin in mint condition. Speaking of condition, let's talk about grading. A coin with a rare error is already special, but if it's in uncirculated or mint state condition, the value can increase exponentially. Coins graded MS65 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC are the gold standard. They haven't been touched by circulation, and their original luster is intact. Combine that kind of condition with a dramatic error, and you've got something truly remarkable. Now, most people wouldn't look twice at a 1980 quarter. It's modern, it's not silver, and millions were made. But here's the secret. It's not about how many were minted. It's about how few survived with something that makes them stand out. An error, a mystery, a twist of fate during production that turned a common coin into a rare collector's gem.so. Now, here's the part you've been waiting for. If you're lucky enough to find a 1980 Washington quarter with a major mint error, especially one struck on the wrong planchet, or with a dramatic off-center strike, or a clear double die, and that coin is in mint state condition, it could be worth as much as $75,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $75,000. All for a coin that originally cost just 25 cents. That's the magic of numismatics. That's the reason people all over the world are digging through old jars, checking pocket change, and inspecting every coin that passes through their hands. Because every once in a while, lightning strikes. And when it does, it might look like just another quarter, but it's anything but ordinary. So don't underestimate the change in your pocket. Pull out those 1980 quarters, give them a good look, and you just might discover something incredible. If you find anything suspicious, always consult a trusted coin dealer or grading service to verify its authenticity and potential value. Top 5, we're taking a closer look at a coin that many people pass by without a second thought. But let me tell you, once you hear the full story, you'll never look at a quarter the same way again. The coin we're talking about is the 1990 Washington quarter. Sounds modern, right? Not old, not silver, and certainly not rare. Or so you'd think. But don't be fooled, because some of these coins from 1990 contain minting errors and ultra-rare features that could make them worth far more than just 25 cents. In fact, one of these coins, if it has the right error and is in top condition, could be worth more money than most people expect to make in an entire year. So sit back, listen closely, and let's take a journey into what makes the 1990 quarter a hidden treasure. But let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been a familiar sight in American currency since 1932. It features George Washington's profile on the front and the majestic eagle on the reverse, a design that's been trusted and unchanged for decades before the state quarters began in 1999. The 1990 version of this quarter was struck primarily at two mints, Philadelphia and Denver. You can tell where yours came from by looking at the small P or D mint mark just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The 1990 quarter is not particularly rare in itself. Millions were produced. But among those millions, a few stand out like hidden diamonds. We're talking about rare errors, strange minting mistakes, and unusual anomalies that turn a regular coin into something collectors dream of owning. One of the most sought-after errors from this year is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank isn't properly aligned during minting, causing the design to be printed off-center. The more dramatic the off-center, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. If your 1990 quarter is off-center, especially by 50% or more, and the full date is still visible, you're holding a treasure. Then there's the double die error, one of the most exciting finds in numismatics. This type of error occurs when the coin is struck more than once with slightly misaligned dies, resulting in doubled letters, numbers, or other features. On a 1990 Washington quarter, a double die might be visible on the words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or the date itself. If you see doubling on those areas, congratulations, you've found something truly special. Another amazing and rare type of error is the wrong planchet strike. In very rare cases, coins are accidentally struck on the wrong type of metal disc. For example, a quarter might be struck on a blank mint for a penny or even a foreign coin. This results in a coin that might be smaller, lighter, or a completely different color than what you'd expect. These errors are exceptionally valuable because they are so unique and difficult to find. Let's not forget the clipped planchet error, a mistake made when the metal strip used to punch coin blanks gets misaligned, resulting in coins that are missing a chunk. These clipped coins have become favorites among collectors, especially when the missing section is dramatic and the rest of the design is still intact. Another notable error is the broad strike, which happens when the coin is struck outside of its collar, causing the edges to appear expanded or warped. A 1990 quarter with a clear broad strike error, especially in uncirculated condition, is highly collectible and can bring in a premium price. And here's something that all collectors pay attention to: condition. Even a rare error won't bring top dollar if the coin is scratched, worn out, or tarnished. But a 1990 Washington quarter with a significant error in mint state condition, meaning it's uncirculated and graded MS65 or higher, is what truly commands attention in the market. Coins that are professionally graded by trusted services like PCGS or NGC often sell for far more, especially when they're certified to have rare errors. And those that combine both a rare error and pristine condition, that's where the real value lies. You see, the thrill of coin collecting isn't just about finding old coins. It's about finding unusual ones. Coins with stories. Coins that slipped through the cracks at the mint and made it into circulation as quiet little mysteries. The 1990 quarter is one of those coins. On the surface, it looks like any other. But to the trained eye, and to the lucky collector who finds the right one, it can be a game changer. Now, you've waited patiently, and it's time for the big reveal that if you are lucky enough to find a 1990 Washington quarter with a rare and dramatic mint error, such as a double die, a misstrike on the wrong planchet, or a severe off-center strike, and it's in pristine, uncirculated condition, that coin could be worth as much as $73,000. Yes, you heard that right. $73,000. That's what makes this hobby so exciting. A coin you've handled 1,000 times could suddenly be worth more than a luxury car, or even more than a year's salary for many people. So here's your mission. Check your change. Look through your coin jars. Go back to that old drawer in your childhood bedroom or the little box of coins you inherited from a grandparent. Because somewhere out there, one of these rare 1990 quarters is still hiding, waiting to be discovered. That if you enjoyed this video, and if you're as fascinated by rare coins and unexpected treasures as we are, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep your eyes sharp, your pockets full of change, and your passion for collecting alive. Happy hunting!